on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Every day our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
Nobody's ambition is what's the blood.
I have fought a very family.
Natural occurrence.
Good to have you on International Tit-Bits on Atlantic Television Network. International Tit-Bits is a show where we bring events and stories from across the world. Here we ensure that the real on-time news are packaged for the viewing pleasure of the people. And today we will be discussing a number of topics. First, South Africa. Inflation quickened to 5.3% from 5.1%. From Israel, negotiating team arrives Paris, potential ceasefire. From China, 15 people killed, 44 injured in fire outbreak. From France, French film industry faces sexual abuse charges. From America, investigation reports of Mexico's President Manuel downplayed. From Australia, second batch of asbestos contaminated mulch undergoes investigation. Our guest today is a foreign affairs analyst, and when we return from this break, we will introduce him to you, so stay with us.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Every day our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
Nobody's ambition is what's the blood.
I have fought a very family.
Natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
Welcome back. This is the International Tidbits on Atlantic Television Network, and our guest for today is a foreign affairs analyst in person of Mrs. Samuel Dixon. Mrs. Samuel, you're welcome.
Thank you. It's my joy to be here.
All right. Now we're going to go into our stories for today from South Africa. South Africa's headline consumer inflation quickened to 5.3% year-on-year in January from 5.1% in December, data showed on Wednesday. Key contributors to the annual inflation rate included food, housing, utilities and transport, according to a Statistics South Africa report. At its last monetary policy meeting in January, the central bank said it wanted to see a clearer disinflation trend before cutting interest rates. The South African Reserve Bank likes to see inflation around the midpoint of its 3% to 6% target range. Core inflation, which excludes food and fuel prices, accelerated in January to 4.6% in annual terms from 4.5% in December. Now, Mr. Samuel, we can see that the key contributors to this inflation is food, basic amenities. What do you think, what do you propose that be done to curb the inflation, given that these are important amenities that individuals need to survive, and you can't necessarily say they should cut down on it? What do you think can be done to rally around the inflation?
So the truth is, inflation cannot be stopped. Inflation is healthy. It's like every economy has their level of inflation. The challenge is when inflation becomes too fast.
Okay.
For example, what's happening around some countries where you buy something today, the next day the price is changing, another day the price is changing. So countries have to monitor the change in prices of those commodities. So why do foodstuffs, what they've aligned, it means they need to look at the cost of production, cost of farming. That means there's somewhere that the farmers are having issues, maybe cost of land. So they need to look at maybe giving the farmers free land to farm so that it reduces the cost of food. For the housing, for example, maybe government needs to build more low-cost houses to reduce the housing deficit in the country. So if the inflation comes from basic amenities, it means that there needs to be a consensus and intentional effect to cover all these things. Inflation is simple. It means the farmer puts more to do farming, so it will increase the cost of the food substance when it comes out, really. So look at the factors of production and see how you can help or aid these people to be able to cushion the effect.
Okay, so how fast can this measure be applied, given that this increase happened from December? It was 4.5% in December, and now in January it was 5.1, and now it's 5.3, and we're just in the space of December to February. That's like 2 months plus.
So that's the thing. Inflation cannot happen that fast. I mean, you cannot copy it that fast.
Okay.
You need to just put the measures on ground and watch it happen. It's like saying you did not see yourself when you were growing. Sure. Your uncle just told you you're growing. That's what it is about inflation. Do the right things, and it will affect the policy at last. It will affect the outcome will be different. But if you want to rush it, there will be errors, because it's the law of demand. It's economics. And it will happen whether you like it or not, because humans will keep behaving the way they will behave. If there's a demand for a particular thing, the price will keep going up. So it's the fact that government has to put a form of control. And this inflation is even simple, because it's around the basic human needs. This is what government is even supposed to be doing, like food security and so it's something that they should do: build more low-cost houses, or make land cheap, or do a JV with real estate firms to build, and maybe question the effect around there. Then look at the food supply, look at farmers, what are the issues? Is the land getting expensive? Is fertilizer getting expensive? And then you can question it from there so that the output will not be too expensive.
Okay, for those people who do not really understand, can you expatiate on what JV is?
JV means joint venture. So just do a joint venture between maybe suppliers and farmers, or be able to do a tax cut for business people. These things help, the the ultimate price of these goods reduce or stay stable. But if I spend too much on transport, I will include it in my cost of
production.
Yes, cost of the products when it comes out. So that's what ultimately gives rise to inflation of goods and when they come out.
All right, thank you very much. We'll go to our next story for today. An Israeli negotiating team arrived in Paris on Friday for talks about a potential ceasefire in Gaza in the latest sign of a tentative progress towards an agreement that could end the 5-month-old war. The Israeli delegation, which includes the heads of its internal and external intelligence services, will meet the director of the CIA, Qatar's prime minister, and Egypt's most senior intelligence official for talks over the weekend in what appears to be the most serious push for weeks to halt the fighting. Pressure on Hamas and Israel to conclude a deal is mounting. There are widespread concerns among observers that an imminent Israeli offensive on the city of Rafah in southern Gaza further extensive civilian casualties, and that the start of Ramadan in less than 3 weeks could ignite widespread unrest in the occupied West Bank and exacerbate risk of a regional conflagration. Israel says Hamas has 4 battalions of militants in or around Rafah, and that its offensive will go ahead if no ceasefire deal is reached soon. Washington has called on its close ally not to launch an assault on a city packed with more than 1 million people displaced from elsewhere in Gaza. Rafah is also the entry point for much of the desperately needed aid that is reaching Gaza, and any further disruption to already inadequate flow of assistance would worsen an acute humanitarian crisis. Hamas is waiting to see what mediators from the US, Qatar and Egypt bring back from the weekend talks with Israel in Paris, an official from the militant group said on Friday. We discussed our proposal with the Egyptians and we are going to wait until they return from Paris, he said. About 150 of 250 hostages seized by Hamas during its attack on southern Israel in October were released in a swap for Palestinian prisoners in a week-long ceasefire in November. The attack, which triggered the Israeli offensive in Gaza, also killed 1,200 people, mostly in their homes or at a music festival. At least 29,514 Palestinians have been killed and 69,616 injured in Israeli strikes on Gaza since the beginning of the war, the Gaza Health Ministry said in a statement on Friday. Israel blames civilian deaths on Hamas, which has ruled the territory since 2007, saying it uses residents as human shield. Though talks on a new deal involving a series of phased ceasefires, each involving the release of a batch of about 100 hostages still held by Hamas, have repeatedly broken down, both sides may now make concessions, observers say. Hamas has seen that allied groups such as Hezbollah, the Lebanon-based militant Islamist movement, are not ready to risk all-out war with Israel to support it and has suffered significant casualties, even if no senior leaders have yet been killed in the Israeli onslaught. Benjamin Netanyahu, Israel's prime minister, needs to improve increasingly fractious relations with Washington and answer accusations inside Israel that he has sacrificed the return of hostages for his own political survival. Analysts say between 30 and 50 of the hostages are now thought to be dead, and representatives of relatives say time is running out for the remainder. Mr. Samuel, do you happen to think that this peace talk that Israel has gone to have in Paris, do you think that this will be a successful peace talk? Because, I mean, we know that they've tried countless times to have peace talks to end the long-going war with Hamas. Do you think that this time it will make any difference and it will actually happen?
So I think that, the world is, we politicize everything. So in the ground, in the root of all this, you may see a lot of politics. But let's just take it in face value. Let me give you an example. Imagine that someone is my neighbor and wants to kill me, and my only defense is to take that person out. You cannot be my neighbor and you're planning killing me. So what Israel wants and what Gaza wants is totally different. If you must have peace, you must understand our needs and be able to bring us together. Israel is saying, I want to secure my territory. I don't feel secure that these people are close to me. You're saying we want to end Israel. So they are not the same thing. So you cannot have peace with someone that is not ready for peace. So because Israel, they've been in this battle for so long, you know, like, you know, so they are saying anything happening in Gaza will clear it if you're not ready. And the Hamas, they are not even willing to surrender. So the peace pact, you know, I don't know how it's going to work, you know, because Hamas, they are trying to even garner powers from other people to see how they boost their own level, and it's I don't know how they're going to work it out. Although, you know, with the international communities trying to bring them together, you know, understand that casual, like children and then civilians will be affected. But I don't see it working in a short time. You know, even if in the long run, you know, this will come. But I don't see it working in the shortest possible time.
Okay, but from the story, Hamas is also looking forward to what the peace pact will bring, the talks that Israel is going to have in Paris. Hamas is looking forward to the result as well. So are other countries looking forward to what it will hold. But also, Israel is a sovereign nation. Hamas also sees itself as a sovereign nation. Obviously, they have the backing of Iraq and all of that. Now, do you actually think that if this peace pact goes through, let's say it's successful, do you think that either one of this nation will actually back down? Because, like you said, you can't be my neighbor.
That's exactly what we are saying. They want peace, but they are not in agreement. How's it going to happen? You know, Pakistan, they are still insisting on what they want. They are still insisting on what they want. So the peace may be temporary, really temporary, because we are too close to be in agreement and not want to settle. You know, so they need to bring their needs in tandem, like bring all the needs Israel has, bring and see how they can compromise. You know, disagree to agree. But if they are just saying, you know, the way you see it in the news, and I watched the news the other day, and I was seeing the Palestinian president insisting with strong voice this, they will not do this, you know, and you know, so, and they are both sovereign, like you said, so there has to be a huge compromise both ends. This peace talk can be effective.
Okay, but the upcoming Ramadan celebration that is coming, we hear from the story that there are a lot of Hamas soldiers surrounded the area that the Ramadan is going to take place. Or do you think that they are going to pause on their offensive, their attack, because of the celebration, given that there are about 1 million people there, or they're just not going to care and they're just going to go ahead with their offensive?
Well, that's to tell you what we were even discussing, that you're taking the life of the people for joke, for religion. You know, there's a pending issue on ground that you are supposed to be interested in, but you're interested in a celebration that, you know, the lives of people are also important, you know. But, you know, I'm sure that Israel will also respond maybe positively because of the civilians that will be involved. But in another way, what if they are planning something different as a cover-up for this? You know, so nobody wants to take any chances for anything that will happen in Gaza. You know, anything happening in Gaza is a threat to Israel. If 1,000 people are gathered, they'll be infiltrated by militants, they'll be infiltrated by suicide bombers. You know, it can be anything. So this is what the matter really is.
So obviously there are people that would want to celebrate the Ramadan because of their religion, despite what's going on. Do you think that the government should put a must curfew, like a ban? No one is allowed to come out on that day to keep the lives of these people safe, or the government should allow them to do what they want to do?
So Ramadan was meant for the people, not the people for Ramadan. So whatever way whatever policy that you need to bring up to be able to secure the people while they celebrate is a welcomed idea. You know, there should be a concerted effort not to bring them out and just expose them to any other, because you don't know what is in the heart of anybody.
No, but like you said, there could be spies, suicide bombers in the midst. So how well can you tell? I mean, even the people that you think are with you, there's like, let's say, a spy, someone that's feeding information off to the other nation between, and you can't really tell. Maybe it's already too late before you find out. So how well can the government be careful enough to protect the lives of these people?
They have their military intelligence, so it's something that they should be able to do. About one time when we were having issues where even people go to churches, they need to scan you. Into so they need to put on those intelligence and secure the people first before Ramadan. Ramadan was meant for the people, not the people for Ramadan. So.
All right, we'll go to our next story from China. At least 15 people were killed and 44 injured in a fire at a residential building in eastern China's Nanjing city, local authorities said. The fire broke out early Friday morning, officials said at a press conference, with a preliminary investigation suggesting the blaze started on the building's first floor where electric bikes had been placed. The building is located in the Yuhaitai district of Nanjing, a city of more than 8 million people, about 260 kilometers northwest of Shanghai. By 6 a.m., 2200 GMT, the fire had been extinguished and a search and rescue operation ended about 2 p.m. Friday, authorities said. For the 44 injured people were sent to hospital for treatment. China has seen a spate of deadly fires in recent months, prompting calls from President Xi Jinping last month for deep reflection and greater efforts to curb the frequent occurrence of safety accidents. In January, dozens died after a fire broke out at a store in the central of Xinyu, with news agencies Xinhua reporting the blaze had been caused of a fire by workers in the store's basement. That fire came just days after a late evening blaze at a school in central China's Henan province killed 13 school children as they slept in a dormitory. A teacher at the school told the state-run Hebei Daily that all the victims were the same third-grade class of 9 and 10-year-olds. Domestic media reports suggested the fire was caused by an electric heating device. November 26, people were killed and dozens sent to hospital after a fire at a coal company office in northern China's Shanxi province. The month before, an explosion at a barbecue restaurant in the northwest of the country left 31 dead and prompted official pledges of a nationwide campaign to workplace safety. In April, a hospital fire in Beijing killed 29 people and forced survivors to jump out of the windows to escape. Mrs. Samuel, I know that, I don't know what other people might think, but growing up, China, I used to look would I say up to China as a country. China had many innovative ideas, technology and all of that. You hardly hear these kind of challenges except from natural disasters coming from China. Now, what would you say is the cause of this sudden fire outbreaks all of a sudden in China, given that these people are ahead in technology, they're smart, they have a lot of scientists, you know, people that look out, are on the lookout for things like this, for all of a sudden to start having domestic accidents happen like this, fire outbreaks, killing children, injuring people. What exactly could be the cause of this sudden domestic accidents?
So if you ask me, I feel like China has been in the front of technological advancement for the past, say, 2 decades, say 20 years now. Their focus has been on that technology. They are building stuff for other countries, building all this stuff. But I'm not sure they are doing much in the side of climate change.
Okay.
You know, because if fire can just spark, it may be a result of climate change issue. You know, I think that to put their focus on sustainable environment.
Okay.
You know, over trying to industrialize your community. You know, that's the thing about, you know, not having, you know, like healthy environment. I think it's a climate change issue. You know, that fire can just arise from every kind of, you know, you can look at the environment. Does the environment have enough to hold? Because fire can just break up from anywhere. The environment is already too hot, and there are a lot of technological advancement. You know, these things need a lot of energy, you know, to you know, boost, to do this stuff. So I think China should focus on sustainable environment moving forward.
Okay, so what moving forward they should focus on sustainable environment. So currently, I mean, they're losing lives. Children died in a dormitory due to fire outbreak and overheating appliance. What can they do right now? I mean, what stories are they going to tell to the families of the dead children? What are they going to do now to curb the fire that is going to save more lives? Because this is starting to be frequent.
So like it's the same thing I would say. It's sustainable environment. You know, it's like pushing yourself too hard that you're not sleeping.
Okay.
You know, you want to achieve something and keep pushing yourself so hard and you forget about your health. You know, it's the same thing as trying to be the number one in the world, putting up all the energy, you know, and you're forgetting the simple things like sustainable, like having green walls, you know, putting stuff to be able to, you know, even your fire service, you know, there are some natural things that you can just do to make sure that, you know, you mitigate against these things moving forward. You know, so that's what I think they should do moving forward.
So you believe that China should take a step back from focusing on being the number one in technology and focus on other things that are a priority right
like
now?
Sustainable environment. You know, for example, some months back there was this COP28 talking about sustainable environment and building green walls, you know, in countries, carbon credit and all that. You know, so those countries that are emitting a lot of energy, they are now trying to use countries like African. We don't have a lot of technological advancements, so we have our vegetations, you know, to be able to cope this. So I think that those countries should be able to take this matter serious and not just politics, you know, because they're important. Before you see fire coming out from every angle, you know, because this every technological advancement has to do with energy. And the root of energy is sparks, is fire. You know? So you don't want the environment to be so polarized, you know, such that, you know, this kind of fire outbreaks we just see, you know.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Samuel. You're still watching International Tidbits on Atlantic Television Network. We will go on a short break, and when we return, we'll talk about the rest of our stories. Do stay with us.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring honest pop news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
Every day our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what the blood.
I have fought a very family.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
Welcome back. This is the International Bits on Atlantic Television Network. Now the rest of our stories. From France, Judith Guerdeche has urged the French film industry to break its omerta on sexual abuse in an unprecedented address to the country's most prestigious award ceremony on Friday evening. Guerdeche, who says she was groomed and raped as a teenager by an acclaimed director, received a standing ovation as she took the stage at the Césars, the French equivalent of the Oscars. Visibly nervous, she told the audience she was speaking to them face to face, eye to eye, and urged them to speak out about abusive, powerful men in the film world, even if it meant risking their careers. For some time now, the word has been out, the image of our idealized fathers has flayed, power seems to be wavering. Is it possible that we can look the truth in the eye, take responsibility to be the actors in a world that is being called to question? She said, I know it's scary, losing grants, losing roles, losing your job. I'm scared too. I left school at 15. I didn't have a high school diploma, nothing. It would be complicated to be blacklisted from everything. It wouldn't be fun. She added, silence has been my driving force for 30 years. Why allow this art we love so much, this art that binds us together, to be used as a cover for the illicit trafficking of young girls? It is in your hands. We are in the spotlight at the dawn of a new day. We can decide that men accused of rape should not be allowed to call the shots in the cinema. The world is watching us. We are lucky enough to live in a country where it seems that freedom exists. So with the same moral strength we use to create, let us have the courage to say out loud what we know in silence. Guerdeche, 51, has accused directors Benoit Jacquot and Jacques Dorlian, the former partner of the late singer and actor Jane Birkin, of rape and sexual assault when she was a teenager. She claimed Jacquot, an acclaimed art house director, groomed her in full sight of the French film industry and journalists when they became a couple after he cast her in his 1987 film Les Mendiants, The Beggars. At the time, she was 14 and he was 39. The actor has also accused Dorlian of requiring her to perform 45 takes of an unscripted sex scene with him when she was a 15-year-old during the shooting of his 1989 film La Fille de 15 Ans, The 15-Year-Old Girl. Mrs. Samuel, this is very, I don't want to call it complicated, but this is a very outrageous story to read. What do you think gave Judith to speak up? I mean, after all these years, she was 15 and now she's 51. What do you think gave her the courage? I mean, you would have them come out on social media and lay their accusations or lay their complaints, but she came out on the grounds of being given an award, trembling, but she still said what has happened to her on national TV in front of everyone that was expecting to see a joyous and happy Judith receiving an award. What do you think motivated her to say what her life has been like?
So yeah, the age of the heart does not make it stop. Just like the age of a lie does not make it true.
Yeah.
So I believe that she only waited until she had a voice to be able to speak out.
Okay.
You know, there are lots of hurt people in different industries. For example, you know that every ecosystem has gatekeepers, and these gatekeepers are powerful people in those industries. And for anybody to break into these industries, you must have done some sacrifices. Movie, music, and even politics. So you see a young artist just becomes popular. She has broken into the industry. She has appeased the gatekeepers. These people are humans. They are powerful people. So sometimes these people are young. They don't have a voice. It's almost like a cult. It's almost like being initiated into a cult. They indoctrinate you. They tell you stuff. And before you know, you lay your guards down, you know, just because you want a future of a career in that industry. So you were young. You did not put priority on something. But as you keep growing, you keep seeing that this was not supposed to be the entry point. This is not supposed to be the barrier to entry. Why did I need to do this to get this? You know, so I believe that in the evolving of her career, she has been able to see the different points where, you know, and you look at posterity, younger ladies coming to the industry. Are they going to still pass through what I passed through? So you know, you're not going to leave the industry not straightening those curves. You know, allowing other young girls go through those, because these powerful men will always be there. You know, like I said, every industry has gatekeepers, and they are always there. They call the shots, they create the rules. You know, some people are very talented, but they are never in the cinema because they maybe they did not meet up to the rules of the gatekeepers.
So do you think that this happens in every film house, every
industry?
It does.
Every industry. So it's something that, you know, like she's calling out. She's saying, wake up and let's talk about this. Let's break that jinx. Let's talk about it. Because, you know, statistically, 70% of rape cases are never reported. You know, because especially the ladies' party, the party feels why should I, you know, they feel the stigma of the rape. So she came out. She's even bold to have done it, even if she's 51 now. But I feel like right now she has a voice to stand against those gatekeepers. You know, so.
Okay, so do you think that any punishment will be given these people? Is it in the place of the government to punish them for what they've done to her, if not for her, but for the people that are forthcoming?
Yeah, that's what the court is meant for. So they are going to do investigations and see if those people are culpable. You know, if they are able to, you know, if they get them guilty, then, you know, it should happen, so that, you know, these things should not. It happens in every industry. It's worse in the music industry, you know. So yeah.
All right, so on to our last story for today from Australia. A possible second supplier of asbestos contaminated mulch is being investigated by the New South Wales Environment Protection Authority as the number of contaminated sites rises to 61. The Environment Watchdog said on Saturday it was following up on a possible second supplier that may have provided asbestos-contaminated mulch to at least 2 sites where the substance has been detected. The sites, both in Western Sydney, were Cranebrook High School and Mount St. Quintin Oval in Bardia. Only one company, Green Life Resource Recovery, has been identified as being directly implicated by the EPA in the contamination crisis, which has involved bonded asbestos and friable asbestos being found in mulch. Green Life has said it is confident mulch leaving its facility was free from asbestos and it was not responsible for the contamination. Bonded asbestos is mixed with cement or other hard materials and considered of lower risk than friable asbestos, which can be crumbled and become airborne, posing a significant risk to human health if the fibers are inhaled. The EPA has been overseeing tests based on contact and supply tracing of Green Life's products. The possibility of a second supplier providing contaminated mulch emerged after landowners at the 2 sites, which were not connected to that contact tracing, independently conducted due diligence testing and informed the EPA of positive results. A spokesperson for the EPA said on Saturday that it followed up on all positive notifications. Our investigators are working to gain more information about this possible second supplier, and we will provide more updates when we have confirmed details and have assessed the risk related to this supplier, the spokesperson said. Now, Mr. Samuel, as we know, asbestos are found in most of the production materials that they use in building and some of those things. Now, how possible is it to curb this, given that it is airborne and it doesn't instantly kill, but the more you inhale it, most people don't even know that they have inhaled it, and they're living with some diseases on the inside of them. How possible is this going to be to curb this asbestos contamination, given that it is in the air?
Yeah, so I feel like the EPA, they are doing an amazing work. One of the ways to curb is to go back to the source, to the roots. And they've been able to trace the source to a particular production company to see that, okay, this story started by a small girl coming home with a trace of the asbestos, you know, and the parents saw, and the alarm, you know, and the testing began. Normally, the mulch is, they put it in a field, and like on the ground, on the soil, before all this, mostly playgrounds and then landscaping for stores. So sometimes these things can leak out, you know, but, you know, it's even proactive. It's even something commendable that they noticed it. Even if they found traces in different places, but it's the work is going on to curb it, you know, because it can just create a lot of risk moving forward, because airborne stuffs are really hard to contain when they go viral. So I think it's the government, they are doing a lot to curb it. You know, there are two kinds of the asbestos, the bonded and the fiber. No, they've gone back to those people and noticed that, okay, this thing did not happen. It's not happening. It's not like a practice. But you know, another thing is some people do profit more than human life. They just want to make the money. So probably the companies, since they've been caught, they are trying to now do damage control, you know. But it could be not being careful with your packaging process, you know, something that's supposed to dry for 5 days, you're carrying it now for 3 days, you know, the particle starts falling out, you know, and all that. So it could just be negligence in the place of the manufacturers of the mulch. But whatever it is, since they are already proactive and you know, working on it, I think it will be curbed.
Okay, so how about the ones that are already in the air? People are inhaling it every day. For instance, let's say let's say at your workplace something is infected, right? And you come there every day to work. Let's say people are working on construction sites and all, and you come there every day to work and you're inhaling that every day. How are they going to curb the one already in the air to keep people from falling sick?
That's where safety equipments come in. There's testing going on. If you notice that from what I gather, there are schools that have already been shut down that are close to those sites. There, you know, so there are evacuations going on just so that people don't inhale, you know. And this substance, they don't stay in the air forever.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that a lot of work is going on to be able to handle that. You know, any country that has an infrastructure like EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, and they are working, you know, you're sure that in a short time to be curbed.
All right. So you don't think that this agency that's producing the mulch should be fined for any reason, because to teach other agencies to be more careful?
No, but you don't just fine people. They've not found them culpable.
Yeah.
You know, they've gone to
if
test.
They do.
Yeah, no, if they do, definitely they should. The law should take its course. But they've not found them culpable. They've gone to their offices like 2 or 3 times to test what they have. Another thing is, you know, the world is so corrupt. You know, what if there's like something that the EPA is also trying to, because there's this protection that happens with businesses that are doing well in every country. They want to protect their image and in the front of, so that, you know, if you just imagine like something like Dangote is having issues internationally, we will not allow him be dirty, you know, in the eyes of the globe. So you cannot tell what is going on, but whatever it is, you know that the government is more interested in their people. Especially imagine that children are playing and inhaling that, and their immune system is not that strong. You know, so I know that whatever it is, there's a groundwork going on to eliminate the mulch that is contaminated by the asbestos.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Samuel. This is where we draw the curtains on International Tidbits for today. Thank you very much for joining me, Mr. Samuel.
It is my joy. It's my joy.
Thank you for joining me on Saturday. And if you missed out on the show, you can always catch up on our socials: Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network; Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1; Twitter, Atlantic TV Net; or you can watch us live on our website, atlanticnetwork.tv. Do remember that peace and unity are the pathways to progress. I am Valentina Lawrence. Thank you for watching, and stay connected on our ATN socials. Have a lovely afternoon.